Wilder
Yeah.
would come down and visit because they were friends from some like Mexico like tangential thing. But like his friends that were working at Attica would come. Like Ben Shuri came and did a dinner with Sean. I have over there. I have Ben's book Origin.
Yeah,
because we cooked them. I'll get to it in a minute, but he came and we cooked him like a tasting menu, and like he signed a book, and that was when there was only like 5 of those books in the United States.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought I had like a gold brick.
Yeah,
because I was obsessed with his food. But like it was just the coolest run of people came through Husk because it was like, evidently it was like McCrady's was it in Charleston, but like outside of that, I think Husk exploded because it was so like. There was a real push. Like, I cooked a cornbread for Johnny Iuzzini. Mm-hmm. He came and like Johnny had a quote in Esquire somewhere like the best cornbread I've ever had is Sean Brock's cornbread. And I was like outside doing prep, and he was like, "Come inside and cook something real quick." And I was like, "All right." And he was like, "Cook a cornbread for Johnny." And I was like, "Okay." Well, this is like, dude, whatever. And he was like, "Make sure it's really good because the dude's been quoted 6 times that I have the best cornbread in the country, and he's never had the cornbread before."
That's dope. That's funny.
But like, yeah, I mean, Travis was there. Travis is still there. Out of that place came Morgan, who ran the Husk in Nashville. Originally, he was the first chef.
Yeah.
Katie, who was the 3rd or 4th chef of the Husk in Nashville. I came this way. Curzon is the chef of the Husk in Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of like incestuous like stages. Like Sean Eland became like he's still my dude. He was he went from Philly to Noma to Husk to stage. But Sean desperately needed somebody at McCrady's at that time, and he was like, "You're coming here."
Yeah.
And Sean got down there, and he had been like nominated for like James Beard Rising Star or something and lost, and that was why I went to Noma for 6 months.
Got you.
Just like clean slate, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, I don't want to just line cook," so he taught himself pastry. And when Winburn left, who also lives in Richmond now, she's from here. Elin applied for the pastry job, got it, worked there. Still went from there to San Francisco, was the pastry chef at Astor with Brett.
Yeah.
They got their stars or whatever, and that place closed. And then he went to a Thai place, and now maybe he's like, I don't know. So many people ran through that place, it was crazy. But Travis was the one who was always there. He was like the fixture of the place.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So what station did you end at? At
one point, I had the claim that I was like the only one who had like banged real time on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But like they had a wood fired oven there, and I loved it. But it was like a pizza oven, but we cooked all the proteins in it. But by the time I left, I strictly worked fish.
Okay, got you. Are you a fish cook or a meat cook?
A fish cook.
Okay, heard.
I can tempt meat, but like I can't. Like not like I can cook. Like I'm very comfortable with fish.
Okay.
To be a giant, I'm kind of delicate with stuff.
Yeah.
But like my best friend, the dude I was telling you about earlier, the older dude Jackson.
Yeah.
Like almost took that job in Nashville. He worked the meat.
Okay.
And I worked the fish. And like I never had a title or anything there, but I worked. By the time I was at the end of my time there, Allison was still in Savannah, and I didn't get to see her much. But Travis would let me work Wednesday through Sunday one week, and then Monday through Friday of the next week. So I would always do 10 days, 4 days.
Gotcha.
So I could get 10 days on, 4 days off, so I could go see Allison in Savannah.
Heard.
Which was awesome.
That's dope. Yeah. That is dope.
Like the sous chef would work on the days, like would work fish when I wasn't there.
Yeah. Which means you have no prep coming your way.
Oh, dude.
When the sous chef works the station,
like Nate,
he's not going to prep your shit for you. I'm sorry.
Nate, I love you, but like I came back one weekend and like, you know, like people have like an idea of what Husk is. Like it's fine dining. It's this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still made 40 quarts of like mushroom consomme at a time.
Yeah.
And like 22 quarts of tomato gravy. Like my sauce work, like, so if you work fish, you're also the saucier.
Okay.
And
for everything? Even the meat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you work, and you're like, Travis stands on like it's an open kitchen. Travis stands like in the dining room, calls the tickets. You run them on the fish person runs them on the rail and calls them to the line on like the hot
So
side.
the fish guy is head station at Husk.
Yes.
Okay. Whereas usually meat.
Yeah.
At Meadowood it was veg.
Right.
Okay. I see now.
And like there's more meat to cook, and the meat station has a hot apps usually.
Okay.
So that person needs to like fixate on what they're doing.
Yeah, that person's buried.
I had typically like 3 proteins
Yeah.
on the we had a Keating, like a nickel plated flat top.
Yeah.
And then Katie, who always kind of worked veg next to me, or my dude Nick, who ended up at Staple House when he left.
Yeah.
And then now he's working at a brewery in Athens, but does like a cool pop up called Mouthfeel.
Oh, word.
I kind of had like Jackson, me, Nick, or Katie. That was like the move for most of the week. And I would help prep veg. I would do sauce. We had a guy, like a butcher is like a crazy thing that I've never had in a restaurant since then. But like Wes or whoever was on that station would bust everything. And then that was another thing. By the end of my time there, every Wednesday, I would have an AM shift because I would help do pigs.
Okay, gotcha. And the pigs were coming, right? 2 a week, fucking on schedule, or what?
Well, I heard Drew say that, but it was more than that. It was more than that in Charleston.
Yeah, okay.
Because we did more services than they did.
Gotcha.
We did lunch every day, we did dinner every day, and we did brunch on Sundays.
Okay, understood.
It was chaos.
Yeah, I bet.
But like Wes would prep everything else on those days, and I would be like the guy who did the chops, boned out the shoulders, like And then sometimes I would like I like to work brunch because I could get off early and like go hang out.
Yeah.
But sometimes I would stay on Sunday afternoons because the dude Cherry, who was the AM sous chef, had done a whole year with Dario Cecchini in Naples or whatever.
Yeah.
And he would make just banging charcuterie. And like I learned so much crazy stuff from that guy. But like we would like put Bactofirm and stuff and hang it in, put it on rods in like recycling bins and cover them with trash bags.
Yeah.
And we would ferment the stuff in the parking lot. It was so hot and so humid.
Love that.
And then we would like spray it, clean it, hang it in like the controlled humidity and everything, right?
Yeah.
But like we would bring it to ferment just like hiding behind the smoker.
Quick.
Yeah. Chaos.
That area must have smelled so weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right?
It was
Yeah, you're
insane.
like, what is that?
But like, yeah,
Stinging
I went pastry, apps, veg, wood oven, fish, and I would say probably spent the most time on fish.
Gotcha.
My mom was happy because I was too big to be putting my arms in and out of the wood oven. And
Yeah.
I'm talking, if I
You're
like,
just
you can
burning
still
yourself,
see it.
yeah.
Like, I didn't care. Like John Currents came to do like a dine around for wine and food there, and like he was like, "Hey, how's that look?" And I just put my head in the oven, and he was like, "Jesus, what's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Dude, we are going faster. We are not going at all."
Exactly.
Like, I was like, I'm helping you right now, but I was like 260 people about to come in here.
Yeah.
Like,
love that. So after your 2.5 year tenure, why do you decide to leave?
Allison finished grad school.
Got you.
Some stuff, Husk Nashville had happened too.
Okay.
And I would like, I never had like that much of a relationship with Sean because Sean wasn't there. Like
Okay.
he had left, kind of, and Travis ran it. But I still do. Like if Travis called me today and was like, "This thing's bad," I'd drive to Charleston and fix a thing for Travis.
Okay.
Sean and I have a great relationship now. Like it takes. I can text him. He'll text me back in 3 days.
Yeah.
But like that's how it's always been, so I don't feel bad about it. But like there's no, like we got no beef. But I gave Travis 2.5 months notice. I was like, please just don't tell anybody until like closer to time. But like I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, I'd have stayed with the group if I could have moved to Nashville. because it's halfway from my parents' house in Richmond. I was like, Allison and I could have lived there, and I could have stayed within the thing and still done the food. And Morgan's going, like, I'd have had a great time. And I was friends with Baxter. I was like, I could have done it. Like, it would have worked. And he told me, he was like, well, that sucks because Sean asked if you wanted to go, and I told him that he couldn't have you or Jackson.
Oh,
and I was
what
like,
the fuck?
And I was like, all right, it's cool. I was like, you're like my dad, and I appreciate that because that, like, it meant that you really wanted me to stay here.
Yeah.
But the reality was that I could never stay here.
Yeah.
We had a bad, like, I had like one, like, everybody's got, like, I'm sure you and Catoe had like one bad time or something.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Me and Sean had one bad time. And he came in, and he hadn't been there in several months, maybe. So at least several weeks. And my buddy Jackson was responsible for the ducks, but we were backed up, so I was cooking them on the Keating. But I wasn't really cooking them. Jackson was.
Yeah.
And he went to getting my ass about how they were under-rendered. And I was like, yo, dude, like, I'm sorry, I'll do better. Like, I'll fix it. I don't want to disappoint you, chef.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, get a cast iron skillet down, cook me one right. And I'm talking, I pulled down like we kept all the cast irons above the wood fire.
Yeah.
Like you could reach up there and grab
This is
one.
fucking hot as fuck.
I reached up there, grabbed one, put it on my, like, one of the 6 burners we had for veg. I was like, sorry, Katie, I'm ruining your shit now. Cooked the duck off, like, put it up for him, and it was nailed. Like, it was, I stand by, it was perfect.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, this one sucks too. What's wrong with you? And I was like, I guess I'm failing, chef. Like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And he was like, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And just being a young prick, I picked the 10-inch up and threw it in the dump from, like, you to that heater over there.
Yeah.
And it sounded like a freight train crashed. And he was like, oh, we'll talk about it first thing tomorrow. And I just was devastated. I was like, fuck, I'm getting fired. I was like, I don't get to see him that much. I still idolized him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done. And I guess he left and called Travis, and he was like, hey, fire the big one tomorrow. And Travis was like, this was when, like, me and Travis became true roll dogs. He was like, pick anybody else.
Yeah.
And Sean was like, what do you mean? He was like, I wasn't there tonight. None of the sous chefs were there tonight. Why do you think that was? And he was like, because Bo was there. And Sean was like, well, he fucking, like, can't cook a duck. And Travis was like, you're full of shit. Like, the duck had to be right. Like, please don't make me fire that one.
Yeah.
And Sean got cool about it. And now we're bros.
Yeah.
But, like, that was the one bad one I had. And, like, that was, like, 8 months before I left. And me and Allison had broken up at that time period.
Uh-huh.
And I was in a bad spot. And I was like, this motherfucker. But, like, from then on, I was like the dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I'll do anything y'all want. I'll come in at 8 and leave at 2 a.m. Anything.
Yeah.
Clock me in whenever you want to. But I said some wild stuff. I was like, I shouldn't have to listen to this for $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And David, like, the manager of the whole restaurant group, went upstairs and called Travis. And he was like, hey, you're about to get a call from Sean. You need to give Bo a raise. So I also got a raise out of it. Like, I went from, like, the most devastated I'd ever been in my professional, like, my brief professional life. Like, Sean showed up, like, I got there at, like, 8 the next morning. I was like, maybe if I get there and I start making something, they can't fire me tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Travis showed up and was like, hey, I'm going to smoke one. Come outside. And I was like, all right. And he was like, hey, you're not getting fired today. I'm going to give you a raise. And I was like, okay, bro, I'm going to walk to the store now and get a Gatorade because I've been here for 3 hours already. Like, I was the first person that got here because I just was like, anything to not get fired.
Yeah,
today.
exactly.
But, yeah, so I ran it. Travis was also super cool. If you were there a year, you got a week paid off.
Okay.
If you were there 2 years, you got 2 weeks paid off.
Okay.
And then if you were there 5 years or something, you got 3 weeks paid off.
Oh, dope.
But I had been there for 2, and I was like, hey, I don't want to not work. Can I have my 2 weeks paid off at the end? And he was like, don't tell anybody about it. He was like, but write in your vacation. And so, like, the first 2 weeks I lived here, I was
taken
by
care
them,
of. Okay, dope.
which was sick.
Yeah. So you moved from there to here. Gotcha.
Rented a U-Haul,